This tutorial video will walk through the process of using the workflow function in Cortex in order to set your system up for a new recording. So we'll start by launching Cortex, making sure to choose Start New Live Session. This ensures that Cortex will open to live mode and then also open a Start New Session window. Here we can choose a directory in which our collections will be stored, and then also copy over a marker set from the System Objects folder. Next, we'll locate the Workflow tab on the left-hand side and choose Open Workflow. Here we have a repository of all of the workflows that we've created. You can store workflows in this location and access them from any directory in which you're working in Cortex. Here we'll choose Live Setup. The Live Setup workflow walks through the process of taking several steps that are required to ensure a proper collection environment. These include connecting to cameras, loading a generic setup file, assigning recording settings, assigning capture duration, capture frame rate, and assigning a capture name. It also opens the calibration wizard to trigger the user to walk through the calibration process. The final few steps in the process of the workflow are to load the marker set and open new subject to trigger the user to use the new subject window to scale the marker set to fit the current subject. To execute the workflow, press play at the top of the workflow panel. As each task is executed, it will become indented. The first step in this workflow is to load a generic setup file. The setup file should contain device information and camera information for the system that's running. Next, tracking, identifying, and skeleton are enabled in the lower left. Next, the system will connect to cameras. Press OK to the Connected Devices window, and the following step will open the calibration wizard. This triggers the user to walk through the calibration process. When some dialog boxes are opened in your workflow, they may pause the workflow process. To resume the workflow, press play at the top of the workflow panel. Here we set the frame rate and then save a setup file into the subject's local folder. This setup file will contain the updated camera calibration information, the devices that were connected to based on the generic setup that was first loaded, and then any settings that have been set within the workflow process. Cortex will automatically load this setup when saved. The workflow is now setting recording settings, capture duration, capture name, and loading the marker set. The final step in the workflow is to open new subject. The user should then direct the subject into the volume, check refit identifying template, and once markers are ID'd, update the model. Once all tasks in the workflow are complete, you'll receive a pop-up window stating task complete. Press OK. Prior to recording, you will need to save the marker set to ensure the changes that were made through new subject are saved into the subject's marker set. Once that's done, you can move forward with your collection. To gain access to this live setup workflow, please reach out to support@motionanalysis.com.